Hey, what's going on? Zach D Productions here, and I'm here for a movie review for you guys. So for this review, I will be reviewing The One, which came out in 2001, and this stars Jet Li, and you have other big named actors in this movie as well, such as, of course, Jason Statham, who is one of my favorite actors. And I want to say that this was one of the movies that really helped Jason Statham's career. Now, the first Transporter movie, which I want to say came out shortly after this, was really the movie that made Jason Statham this big action star. And yeah, so this movie definitely helped Jason Statham, I would say. And this is actually back when he had hair, which is definitely not something that we're used to. And he's, of course, alongside Jet Li in this movie. And I have heard that Jet Li and Jason Statham actually like working together. They like being in movies together, which is really cool. And this wouldn't be the last time that they would be in a movie together, because later in years they would be in a movie together called War, which I haven't seen yet. I'll probably check that out at some point. And then they were, of course, in the Expendables films together, which I have seen those. Now, I want to say that the Expendables was my introduction to Jet Li. Like, that was the first time I've seen Jet Li in a movie. But when it comes to Jet Li's solo films, or just films where his character is the main focus, I want to say that this was my introduction to Jet Li's movies, and I think it's a good introduction to his movies. This was the movie that basically made me a fan of Jet Li. I mean, he's of course in other films as well, such as Fearless and Hero, just to name a few. So, yeah. What do I think of this movie? I think it's great. This movie is basically centered around the multiverse, which, I mean, it's kind of surprising that this movie came out when it did in the early 2000s, back when the multiverse, not many people knew what the multiverse was, and back when not many movies were doing it, especially not like you see nowadays, because it seems like a lot of movies today are about the multiverse. Everything Everywhere All at Once, for example, which I do think is a good film. I do like that movie, but I mean, there's no denying that, you know, there's a lot of films that are doing the multiverse thing and also are planning on it. And consider what Marvel is doing as well with, of course, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and so on and so forth. So, yeah, the multiverse seems to be sort of it seems to be the trend of today's time in film. So back in this time, back in '01, not a lot of movies were doing this. Not a lot of movies were about the multiverse, you could say. And I think that they've done the multiverse concept very well in this movie. Arguably, I'd say they've done the multiverse thing better than a lot of movies, the way that a lot of movies are doing it now. It has a very good story, and the movie's not that long either. It's not that lengthy, so it does move at a good pace. So basically, Gabe, who is Jet Li's character, Gabe Ulaw, he is, he's basically, well, there's actually multiple versions of his character. There's an evil version of himself who basically travels to other universes to kill other versions of himself, and each time he kills a version of himself, he gains powers. And you find out that there's one remaining left. He's the one. There's one Gabe left, and Jason Statham's character has basically been tracking him because, well, he's a multiverse expert or a multiverse agent or whatever. And he basically tries to help him, and you find out that the evil Gabe kills the good Gabe's wife, and towards the end of the movie, there's, of course, a big epic showdown with good Gabe and the evil version of himself. And, of course, you know how it goes. They defeat the enemy, they defeat the evil Gabe, and, you know, Jason Statham's character wants to send Gabe back to his universe. Well, that was the plan anyway, and then they send him to a universe where his wife is actually still alive. So, and it ended up working out at the end anyway. And when it comes to the evil Gabe, he's basically sent to some dystopian universe. I am Ulaw! You only need to know me. He basically gets into this fight with all these guys on this tower, this whatever it was that they were fighting in. And it's epic. The way that the movie ended with him just beating up all those guys, it's epic. It's a great film. I mean, I really got no complaints with it, really. And we got to talk about the CG and the effects. Now, the CG and the effects are definitely of its time. They're definitely very dated. That goes without saying. All you have to do is see the movie to know that, of course. And as far as the soundtrack, you do have some songs from Disturbed. You have, I believe, a Drowning Pool song, or a couple songs from them in the movie. You also have a Papa Roach song in the movie that plays towards the end, actually. Now, when it comes to Papa Roach's music, I think their old stuff is pretty good. I even like the song that they played at the end of this movie, but overall, I'm just not a big fan of them personally. But not bad, though, especially their old stuff. But yeah, the soundtrack, it's definitely of its time. And this movie came out at a much simpler time in humanity and just life in general. Back when movies didn't try to shove a political message down anyone's throat, didn't try to be woke or anything like that. This movie, it basically stayed away from all of that, and I really do appreciate that. I mean, let's face it, that's why a lot of people stick with the old movies, because they don't have that garbage, you know, like you get in a lot of today's films, which is something that I think Hollywood needs to learn, that stuff don't sell. People don't want to see that stuff. They're not into that. So if we could just go back to simpler times like this, hey, that'd be great. I mean, I think the movie, it tried more so, you could say, to be try-hardy, edgy, or whatever. You can really make that argument, especially with the soundtrack and everything, and just the tone of it overall. But I think it works. I mean, I really can't complain about it. I think it's a great film. I personally love this film. I mean, I really can't get sick of it. And it's kind of underrated, too. I think that this film deserves to be talked about by many. So, yeah, overall, The One, I think it's a great movie. So, if I were to give it a score, I'd have to give it, honestly, a 9 out of 10. I think the movie is that good, to be honest. So, I'd say if you have not checked out this film, definitely check it out. If you are a fan of Jet Li or Jason Statham, I'd say check it out. So, yeah, a great movie. So let me know what you think of the movie The One. So on that note, thanks for watching and have a good one.